try and unlock a stacked defence. Nepal have been, in a lot of ways, playing into the Socceroos' hands by being really proactive in the way they've defended, really defending high up the park when they've had the opportunity. They haven't sat back in blocks, but I suppose now that they will, being a player down. So this poses a different scenario for the Socceroos, another opportunity to play against stacked defences, which we have largely struggled against in history. I was going to say recent history, but there hasn't been much recent history with the Socceroos. So it's just another opportunity to play against a different defensive formation. I wonder what Graham Arnold will do with substitutions. You talked about Lawrence Thomas maybe getting his first cap in this tournament. I don't think he'll come on in this second half. I see Redders is back out there. I would imagine to just give Lawrence Thomas some game time in the second half of this one would be like a snub, or you know what I mean? It wouldn't be a proper cap for a goalkeeper in particular. So I wouldn't be surprised if Lawrence Thomas plays the next match against Jordan. But I was just interested to see which players he'll conserve looking forward to the Jordan game.
I'm not sure we'll see. We'll definitely won't see Adam Tackett for this match. He's carrying a groin strain. He's made that big move from Suwon to Cerezo Osaka after his goal-scoring spree last season with in the Korean League, the top flight. Had such a good campaign, so it's a bit disappointing we're not going to see Adam Tackett, but he and Lawrence Thomas remain the only players to have not played any minutes in qualifying. Of course, both Brad Smith and Apostolos Giannou have gone home. And the Omani referee Ahmad Al-Kaf gets proceedings underway in the second half. Australia leading Nepal by 2-0. Boyle, who won that free kick late in the half that got Rohit Chand sent off. That was a very important interception there by Alian. Suman Alian. And number 6 getting a toe on that, conceding the corner. And from the get-go, Nepal under pressure.
A nice little moment between Sutar and the goalkeeper there. Sutar just running forward and looked like he was having a smile between those two players, and probably an understanding, an unspoken understanding of what's ahead.
You can see the man mountain, just the height differential. Near post it goes, and the contact was there from Mitch Duke. Hooked back by Bajic.
Fullbacks understandably haven't been as prominent today. I think the conditions, the earlier kickoff compared to the first two games, and I was a little bit surprised the way they're set up, because it's quite a narrow 4 in a lot of ways. You know, Boyle and Hrusic are operating centrally a lot, and they're not traditional wide players. Duke and Leckie playing the twin striker role. So there's this expectation in my mind that Karacic and Bajic are going to get forward a lot, and that's the way they've been set up. But the conditions don't really play into that. And we haven't seen Karacic and Bajic get forward that much, apart from the first goal, obviously, with Bajic's cross. So a little bit surprised. It's a bit counterintuitive, the setup.
Yep. He's gone with a 4-2-2-2 combination. Here's Bajic. Leckie's onside. Or is he? Late flag up on the Australian captain. He's such an efficient player, Matthew Leckie. Remember, no VAR of these qualifiers.
Yeah, no, I for one am very happy about that. I haven't missed it.
You've got a few friends in that category.
Even that decision there, like, he looked like he was in line. But, you know, pre-VAR, we just get on with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm just happy to get on with it here. Even thinking about the red card in the first half, You know, VAR would have looked at that, and who knows what would have happened. I don't think they would have overturned it, that's for sure. But yeah, you know, we would have spent probably 2 or 3 minutes going frame by frame looking at it, and I'm just thinking, that's fine. Like, even though...
Here's Karacic. Duke. And pretty desperate defending in the end there by Anjum Bista. And the goalkeeper comes out strongly, Shemyong. Anjum Bista is the 14 who's on for this second half. Their top goal scorer. Let's see if he can play a part. He's nearly on the ball now. Oh, that's good tracking by Aziz Bage.
He's played it well.
A lung-busting run.
Played it well.
Australian left back.
Just got his body position just between the attacker and the ball, and felt the contact, the grab, went to ground, won the free kick nicely. The goalkeeper's been impressive in the way he's been really brave in coming for a lot of these crosses. You imagine a goalkeeper standing on his line with these type of balls in the box, man, asking for trouble. So Kieran has been really good at coming out and winning, being very effective in winning a lot of ball in the air.
Well, that's a really good angled ball in the path of Mitch Duke.
This is a player that Graham Martin would love to see more in the game. Mitch Duke, barely mentioned in the first half. It's all been about Matt Leckie finding space and the ball in the attacking third. Mitch Duke barely touching the ball.
He scored that really good goal in the match against Chinese Taipei.
Scored a couple, didn't he, in the end?
Yep. Tap in late from Rukavica. So 2 goals in that match.
I'm really excited to see him in the Socceroos camp. I see him as I think in baseball terms, what you'd call a pinch hitter. That's what I see Mitch Duke's role going forward with the Socceroos. So he's started in a couple of games. On the ball now.
Squares it for Rustic. Irvine. Rustic, lovely touch. Onto Matthew Leckie a little bit too quickly. They reset. Page, you can see his athletic ability just off a angled ball, taken well by Leckie.
Just strong on the ball.
Page looking for the right option. Metcalf scored some good goals for Melbourne City this season.
He's a good
Connor
player.
Metcalf.
He's a good player.
And it's a good angle ball. Boyle's header is off target, and he continues with his runabouts in this block of World Cup qualifying.
Yeah, largely off target. Been wasteful in front of goals, but just on Metcalf, I was a little surprised to see him as a holding midfielder in this game. Largely operated as an attacking midfielder with Melbourne City. So a little bit surprised to see him as a holding midfielder.
There he is alongside Jackson Irvine. Can't miss Big Harry. Sutar to Irvine. And Rustic turns, and no foul. Turnover is costly. Here's Jude, numbers forward for Australia. This time Martin Boyle. And again, he misses the target. The Hibs man, who's had a pretty useful season in Scotland. 12 goals with Hibernian, teammate of Jackson Irvine. Born in Aberdeen, his father Graham qualifies him to play for Australia. He was born in Sydney. Martin Boyle's wife Rachel is an international player for Scotland, 31 caps. So you can predict what's going to be spoken at the dinner table there.
She scored a few goals as well.
Yeah.
I should be giving feedback on the amount of opportunities he's missed, clearly. Wonder what sort of banter it would be.
Karadzic took his goal really well in that first half. Hasn't scored too many for Brescia, so they are collector's items for Fran Karadzic. Nepal working hard, the 10-man Nepal.
That's a strike from a guy that's just trying to get himself into the game. Mitchell Duke, I think in the end didn't have the strike. It's just reaching for it. It's just the ball had sort of gotten away from him. He just took the wrong option. He wanted to hit it at goals, but the ball wasn't set up to hit at goal.
Yeah, Australia's got some good attacking options on the bench. Chris Economides, Arwan
McGree.
Yeah. Riley McGree, Jamie McLaren, Nikita Rukavica.
Yeah.
He's had a standout season in Israel for Maccabi Haifa.
Yep. You think about Aaron Moy not being here, you think about Rogic not being here, you think about Luongo not being here, and it feels like we've got depth in that attacking middle and attacking third.
Hrustic tries the angle ball for Duke, doesn't come off this time. Australia desperate to win it back, and they do. Here's Metcalf. Calling for the diagonal ball. It's delivered well. Karadzic, Irvine, Hrustic opens up the angle and hits a pretty good shot in the end, just curling wide of Kieran's back post. Just such a neat technician, isn't he, Aiden Hrustic?
Yeah, absolutely. It was almost like a shot, but a teasing cross at the same time towards that far post. If someone was hitting the line at speed, maybe they could have got on the end of that, but both players, Boyle and Lecky, just a little flat-footed as that shot cross came in. But you're right, Hrustic he just looks classy, doesn't he? He oozes class when he's on the ball. Back to where our strengths lie within this particular Socceroos setup. We talked about the attacking end, middle of the park. It feels like we've got players in that area, and quite a few players. But my mind always goes to the defensive end and thinking ahead to next qualifying.
Irvine, good ball in, ball this time. Scores, desperate to get on the score sheet, and he's done it well, Martin Boyle. All smiles as he missed that penalty in a previous match in World Cup qualifying.
And all those other chances I've forgotten, eh? He's now on the score sheet. Ultimately, it's a misread from the Nepal defender, number 5, I think, who's expecting... he's just a flat-footed. Gautam, the number 5, the right fullback for Nepal. Flat-footed as that ball comes in, and Boyle just ghosting him behind.
And that
comfortable tapping in the end, isn't it?
That was the Hibs men combining.
Oh, you think they're on another level, eh? I think you might be right.
3-0 to Australia.
Expect to see some changes shortly, I would imagine.
Hrustic spots the run of Boyle.
Onside.
Looking for the double, Martin Boyle. Squares it in the end, Duke. And it's nearly an own goal.
It's just Miss Duke. He's just not quite there today. See, again, like I see Miss Duke, normally that situation, the first touch is nice, second touch, perfect setup. There, he's just getting caught under his feet.
Third international goal for Martin Boyle, Socceroos colours.
He started, was it his first game he scored a double, or first 2 games he scored 2, something like that?
Near post, and it's glanced on against the upright and somehow it stays out. Contact there from Matthew Leckie. And Kieran is ropeable at his defence to allow Leckie the space to create that goal-scoring chance. And when you look at the group leaders in the other groups in Asia, it's pretty interesting reading. We've got Syria leading over China in their particular group. Martin Boyle centering header. A little nudge on Mitch Duke. And it's swept away from danger. You've got Syria over China. Iraq 2 points over Iran and Bahrain. Saudi Arabia edge out Uzbekistan in their group. Qatar and Japan are clear leaders in their group. And then Vietnam, the big surprise. They had 2 points over the UAE in their group. And Korea are ahead of Lebanon on goal difference. The Lebanese doing very well.
It's great, isn't it? You just love to see that there's not just a certain amount of powerhouse teams within the region and that's it. Same old nations qualifying. It's just brilliant to see these other nations on the rise.
And of course, COVID, I think, has been a big leveller, hasn't it? And it's brought that sense of unpredictability. You can see the last touch coming off the defender.
Yeah.
So the goal wouldn't have been credited to Matthew Leckie.
Didn't know anything about it. Wasn't intentional, but that close to a fourth. But after that, the nudge on Mitch Duke, that's a dead set foul. He was impeded in that moment. But as you see so often, Bash, if you don't go to ground, you won't get the free kick.
Yeah, I know that's your bugbear.
But this is at the heart of diving, and people, cry foul at diving, and they're in an uproar about diving, and players that dive are criminals and all this. But at the heart of it, officials don't understand or don't appreciate diving in its art form. Players can get away with it, but in a moment there where a player is clearly fouled but stays on his feet, you're not rewarded. So why do you think players go to ground, Bash?
We know why they go to ground. Manish Dungi on for Nepal, just 19 years of age. Debuted in a recent 6-2 loss to Iraq. So first call up for the squad for the teenager. Here's Metcalf. There's a great picture of him and Denny Jonru as young players, and Jonru was towering over Connor Metcalf. They were a year apart in age. I think Metcalf at the time was 14 and Jonru was a year older. Jonru made the quip that he hasn't grown since. Certainly Connor Metcalf has shot up, and he's a fine prospect for Australia.
And they don't look much older either. They look all of 16 teenagers. They're barely out of their teens, are they? Or they're still in their teens.
And in these times of isolation, you must pay credit to the FA media department, Ben O'Neill and so forth, generating the sort of content to make you watch and make you learn about these players and just get inside their heads. It's great.
Some of it's great.
Yeah.
Some of it's great, Bash. Some of it you just scratch your head at and think about if you were asked to do that as a player, you'd be going, nah, that's okay.
So Milos Steganek gets the armband. Proud moment for him as Nikita Rukavica comes on for Australia. Scored on the previous match.
They didn't get Leckie's armband. He kept his.
Actually provided the assist for Mitch Duke in that previous match. 18 appearances for Australia, 19 today. And looking to get on the score sheet. Here's McLaren on the pitch as well for Australia.
Maybe that's a small example of the new COVID norm. Again, with you can't pass on the captain's armband, Bash.
You need a new one.
Yeah.
McLaren clearly offside. J Mack and Harry Suter, joint top scorers for Australia with 5 goals in World Cup qualifying.
Jamie getting a hat-trick last time out against Nepal. Was that a year and a half ago?
And the Blackpool hero comes on also, Kenny Dougal. Of course, helping Blackpool to advance to the championship via the playoffs at Wembley. First Australian to score a brace at Wembley. And forever he'll be in Blackpool folklore. Defensive midfielder who doesn't score that often, comes up with a brace at England's home of football. I'm not sure if you caught Ryan McGowan reflecting on when he was late for a meeting in camp under Ange Postecoglou. That was a really funny moment. Of course, Ange Postecoglou named as Celtic manager. We wish him all the best, and Bajic threatening. I'm sure he'll have a few Socceroos on his radar as well. Bajic looking for the free kick. I think a lot of us don't realise how big a moment it is for Australian coaches to get such a huge club appointment.
In the words of our great SBS colleague Craig Foster, it's as big as we've ever seen. I'm sorry, but it is. It is. It just came from nowhere too, didn't it? Within a week, it sort of happened. We'd heard about it, a whisper about it, then all of a sudden it's here, and you can't get your head around it. But it's totally deserved.
Absolutely, he's
totally deserved.
He's had a long, extended apprenticeship. He's won championships everywhere he's gone, set new standards in the A-League and in Australian football, winning the Asian Cup.
And can I also give a shout out to my good colleague Joe Montemuro, who I work with at Melbourne City, and his move from Arsenal women's to Juventus. He'll be loving that. He's a proud Australian, but he's from the Italian family, a proud Italian as well.
And a Juve man.
And he loves getting back to Italy, so he'll be loving that.
Hrustic drops the shoulder. Aiden Hrustic! And lets fly too. Shot hit with great venom, but always rising. And just a reminder, if we need one, of the class of Australia's number 10.
He's got some power in that left foot too, hasn't he?
And Graham Arnold's got some building blocks when you consider that Tom Rogic to come back into this lineup.
So this is where the jigsaw comes into play. Who do you fit in? Who gets left out? This is it's a nice puzzle to have.
You know, looking at the Australian team, where do you see any weaknesses? Of course, we can't judge it on this phase of qualifying. We can only really logically look at the next phase as the true test, can't we?
Yeah, well the centre-back position is still the position for me that needs strengthening. Let's just say I'm not convinced yet about that we found the right pairing there.
Finds its way to Martin Boyle. Boyle clips it to the back post, looking for the run there of Rukavica. Kieran's largely done a pretty good job in between the posts for Nepal.
Yep. Oh, it's coming, you're not coming. Oh, but Redders, I tell you what, Australia lucky to get away with that. Total confusion.
Some Manish Dungy colliding there with Andrew Redmayne.
Tell you what, in the end, lucky to win the free kick too. So they're the moments.
Irvine to Hrustic. Almost looked like you're seeing Tom Rogic in many of the movements from Aiden Hrustic. Very similar type of players. You can see that there Degenek just not quite on the same page with Andrew Redmayne.
All along I thought Degenek was actually going to play the ball back, but he assumed that Redders was going to win the ball outside his box. But in that moment there, for me, there's a clear situation that should unfold. If your defender has advantage over the attacker coming to the ball, then you hold your ground as the goalkeeper. As we see the finish again by Boyle. As you said, the Hibs teammates combining very well. Great little ball in behind. Should have been defended a lot better, which should be said, but Martin Boyle can't worry about that. Finishes nicely. But going back to that last incident, as a goalkeeper, if your defender has the advantage in regards to winning the ball, then you keep your ground and you allow the defender to play the ball back to you. If not, if the attacker has the advantage and you think you can win it, then you go and get the ball. So that's, and for me, it looked like Redders had held his ground, but Degenek expected Redders to come outside the box. No, no, no. You've got advantage. You're at the ball first. You play it back. So that's where the confusion arises.
Played forward, won by Irvine. Hrustic, another drop of the shoulder, takes a slight deflection, and that was really well done by Kiran Chemchong.
Excellent.
Excellent save by the Nepali custodian.
It was a mongrel of a shot, wasn't it? Bounced in front of him, power, bit of movement, dodgy surface. Does well to get his body behind it and was all prepared to accept that he probably wasn't going to catch it the first time, and he was ready to pounce on that second ball. Did it really well.
Irvine. Hrustic let it run.
Again,
and now gets the return ball but doesn't get hold of the shot. It was McLaren and Hrustic combining.
Come on, Nepal. Understand the danger here. Hrustic in the middle of the park with not a player putting any pressure on him. You're going to concede at some point.
Struggling to maintain possession, and the Australians win it back. Hrustic doing some good defensive work.
Daily career. You can nothing but the utmost respect. I try and envisage him in another league or even on the international stage, and I'm still unconvinced. Bash, what does that say? I'm not sure.
Well, 25 goals for Melbourne City, third Golden Boot. He's flirted with international football, played for Darmstadt in the second flight of German football. 7 games, no goals. Hibs, 27-9. So you're right, he's struggled when he's got out of Australia to produce his best, and was scoreless, in his first 9 international matches.
Yeah. So I'm not convinced. So but shouldn't we be convinced from his A-League form that he can make the step? Or maybe he's just a player that can't.
I think you judge on the next phase against stronger opposition. 3-0 Australia. 71 minutes have gone. They've scored twice in the first half and once in the second through Martin Boyle. And they threaten once more from the set piece. And it didn't get much of a look at the strike, but just brushed the roof of the net.
The goals to free kick ratio is going down rapidly, I'm afraid, from Hrustic. But maybe this is the area to keep trying, you know? I don't know. Mobile. It's good to see Arwe Mobile come back on.
Yeah, Arwe Mobile simmer things down a little at the moment. Start of the first match against Kuwait. Played Champions League football.
Yeah.
This season, scored against Young Boys and Ajax from memory, and played home and away against Liverpool in the UEFA Champions League.
That was Jamie McLaren on the free kick. I take that back. Hrustic has put the left boot away for the moment. He hasn't found the back of the net.
Drinks break, which is obviously very much needed in these oppressive conditions. Kuwait will host Jordan in the match after this. That'll be important for second place, and that ability to get into a position where you can directly qualify to the next phase. The 4 best second place finishers will directly qualify to the third stage of qualifying in the Asian Confederation. And it's the South Asian Championships which are the focus for Nepal beyond these qualifiers. been to the semi-finals 3 times. It's actually the under-23 team, which are the South Asian Games champions, that got a higher profile in Nepal than the senior team. They get to play at home because the South Asian rules and regulations allow matches at the national stadium in the past, so they have a greater profile. They've won a couple of tournaments, which the senior team have not in the South Asian Championship. So it is the Olympic team that curiously have a greater profile. We know a number of members of this Socceroos team will be representing Australia at the Olympic Games. Riley McGree, Harry Sutar,
Connor Metcalf, Denny Jeanreau.
Denny Jeanreau and Metcalf.
Yep. It's a strong-looking Ollie Roos squad, to be fair. Off the back of what's been a breakout year for a lot of young players in the A-League.
Yeah, Gary Van Egmond has taken that squad to Marbella in Spain to prepare them for the Olympic Games. A squad that includes Daniel Arzani, which is great to see him back in the international fray.
He's a player that I wish he was here in this Socceroos setup now. I want to watch him. Offside.
Clearly offside. It should be anyway. The flag is up on Nikita Rukavica.
I've never been as excited to see a player in a long time, an Australian player, than I was to go and watch Daniel Arzani. And he was only 16 when he first debuted. I'm pretty sure. Maybe a little bit older with Melbourne City.
Yeah, well, he's fallen out with the new coach at Utrecht, and Rene Mullenstein, the assistant coach for the Socceroos, has virtually called for him to move clubs. Very frustrated at his situation after all the injuries he suffered at Celtic. Let's just wish Daniel all the best for showing the sort of ability that he does possess.
We do.
Here's Rustic. Look at the space here for the Australian number 10. Players streaming forward left and right. Ends up with Karacic looking for goal number 2. Rustic! And he strikes it beautifully with the outside of the foot. And straight into the lap of Kiran Chemchong.
It looked like he took the most unselfish option in the first phase there, where he was going towards goal. Could have easily had a left foot strike on goal from about the top of the D, and decided to be unselfish, probably considering he's had quite a few shots on goal and hasn't been able to find the back of the net, maybe thinking along those lines. But the return ball wasn't that great from Karacic, was it, Bash? Bouncing along, and then in the end he's done really well to get a strike on target.
Sutar. Metcalf has had a solid match. Degenek. McLaren.
Solid.
Well, that's a tackle from behind. Free kick to Australia. And he's claiming he got the ball first, Arik Vista, but he got a fair bit of Aiden Hrustic on the way through.
Yeah, we'll look at the replay, but I think there's no question about the foul. Oh. Yes, I'll tell you. In the days gone by, Bash, back in our era, that's just a solid challenge. Won the ball first, and anything else afterwards is just collateral, you know. Anyway, maybe I'm just too stuck in the past.
Reminiscing about the Steve O'Connor days.
Oh, Big Rocky at the AIS.
Yeah.
We learned how to look after ourselves at the AIS, and I think it's a deeper discussion, Bash, but the way players are coached these days compared to all aspects of the game that we were coached back in the AIS days, including how to handle yourself physically, defending, getting up in the air, you know, getting your arms up, winning the ball, all those sort of things, they go a long way to completing a player.
And some of those have been refereed out of the match.
Absolutely. Rules have come in that stop you, don't they?
Yeah, Metcalf saw Kiran just a little bit off his line, but didn't have enough depth on the attempted chip.
Rocky. I remember him chasing a couple of players around the indoor arena at the AIS after he got chopped from behind. You didn't want Rocky on the wrong side here.
Ahmed Al-Kaf, experienced referee from Oman, just calling for calm. The Nepali players trying to apply the maximum possible pressure on Australia, but I've redlined a couple of times in tackles in the second half.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like anything's going to go over the edge, but there's some borderline tackles, yeah. It must be said, Nepal have been as good as can be expected, considering they've gone down to 10 men in this, at the end of the first half. They've been really good second half, enthusiastic still. They're behind, well behind on the scoreboard, maybe looking ahead to what you said, best fourth placed spot. They need to take that into consideration, their goals against. They've been good. They've been really good.
There are only 2 wins against Chinese Taipei, who, curiously, they're ranked, 20 places below in FIFA World Cup rankings, but they've had the measure of Chinese Taipei in qualifying. Played some good football a couple of matches ago against Chinese Taipei. And deliver a cross in. Redmayne deals with it easily. And here is Mabil. Bate streaming forward. Options on the left, on the right as well. Always looks like he's got so much time on the ball. Awa Mabil. Cross delivered in, and the shot first time by Jackson Irvine can't hit the target.
Yes, Jackson Irvine not getting forward as much in this particular game, starting as that holding midfielder. Tough ball to really connect with. The ball from Aziz, while direction not too bad, it's just bounced in front of Jackson Irvine, which makes it extremely difficult to get a shot on target.
Yeah, 8 Socceroos in this squad in Q8, played a part of the 2018 World Cup squad. One was Jackson Irvine, the others Matt Ryan, of course, Danny Vukovic, Bage, Sainsbury, Deganek, Leckie and McLaren. 5 saw minutes on the pitch.
I'm a big fan of Irvine, Bash. Not just because of the way he plays the game. I think we can all respect his approach on the field, but he's a heavy metal fan as well. He loves his music.
I knew that was coming.
He loves his music.
He didn't bring his guitar, though, to Q8.
No.
He left that behind. He thought the walls were a little bit too thin.
Bash, you've called it. You called this. I didn't think Lawrence Thomas would get a look in this game, but it looks like he's going to get some minutes.
I thought he might.
I think that's a slap in the face for a goalkeeper, personally. I do. My debut, come off the bench, 3-0 up. Your debut is 10-minute stint. I'm just like, nah, I'd rather not have a cap. I'll wait for it. I'll earn my cap. Surely. Arnie, come on.
Clip forward. Offside flag is not raised at the moment. It comes up very late on Manish Dungi. Of course, the assistants really encouraged to keep their flags down in the VAR application, but with no VAR, perhaps they've got the lag.
I was going to say that to you. Isn't it nice to see the linesmen put up their flags early? But you're right, that's because there's no VAR.
Mabil clips a back post, and it was a little bit too deep there for Rukavica.
Problem was there 2 players running in the same path in the centre of the goal there. One needed to, it looked like Jackson Irvine making that late run could have bent his run towards the back post.
Great credit to Awa Mabil, his brother Awa Bull. They have that charity Barefoot to Boots, where they raise money for kids in refugee camps. Of course, he was in a refugee camp himself from South Sudanese background, but in a refugee camp in Kenya.
Yeah.
And Andrew Redmayne replaced.
I can't believe it.
And his first cap.
I can't believe it.
For Lawrence Thomas, former Melbourne Victory goalkeeper, makes his first appearance for the Socceroos. He's now with Sonderjyske in Denmark. 32 matches this season. They finished 3rd last, but he claimed 6 clean sheets. So after 4 youth caps for Australia, Lawrence Thomas gets his Socceroos debut, but albeit the last 10 minutes or so in this qualifier.
I feel, honestly, I feel like if I was on the bench, I think they got that wrong. If I was on the bench, He said, "You're coming on for 10 minutes and we're 3-0 up." I go, "Arnie, just let me earn it. Let me earn my start."
Ruan Tongic, the last of the 5 substitutes used. Karacic. Back to Tongic. Good cross. And it's well saved there. Just tickled wide of the mark there by Kieran Chemchong. And Ruan Tongic with his first touch almost getting a great result.
Yeah, the ball in. Not the best of headers in the end, was it? A lot of power lost because the header was down into the ground. So a lot of power was lost because that goalkeeper saved quite comfortably.
Kieran trying to place his defenders where he wants. Mobile over the corner.
Hey, I see.
That's bizarre, isn't it?
Harry Sutar, the target in the middle, and he gets the header on target. And again, it was really good work by Kieran.
Yep.
Spreading himself effectively to the left.
A tough area again to actually score from, isn't it? It's out towards that penalty spot. And Soutard running parallel to the goal line, then having to swivel your head and try and get some sort of power. What he did do very well is direct the ball to an area that was going to be hard to save, but you just lose all power because you've directed it there.
Mobile pops up on the right. Tongic.
So what position is Tongic playing as a holding midfielder? Is that right?
Looks like he's more advanced to the centre back.
Yeah, so I've never seen him play anything else besides a centre back.
Had a great season for the Central Coast Mariners, Ruan Tongic.
A breakout season.
After his stint with Melbourne City. Layoff, and Bajic strikes it well, but it's nicely blocked there by Pujan. You can see how much pressure Nepal are absorbing, down to 10 men after the sending off of Rohit Chand in the first half. And as they did in Canberra, they've defended and kept their shape well in the second half.
They have. I've been really impressed with Nepal. There's the building blocks of something there, isn't there? I can't stop every set piece, referee. This annoys me. Let's get on with it.
Mobile to the near post. Tongic gets his big frame in.
Ruan Tongic's a very interesting example of a player that, even at a young age, undeniable talent. Undeniable talent. Great technician on the ball, great athlete. But it's taken him... He's been at, what, 5 clubs now, I'm pretty sure, in the A-League. It's taken him to about his 5th club to find consistency. So it's always been a bugbear of mine, a player like him. Why hasn't he been able to make it succeed at all these clubs before this point to now? Why hasn't he been able to deliver consistency up until now?
Laid off by Mobile. Karacic the back heel. Mobile kept it alive for Australia. Arik tidies up for Nepal.
Watch the ball.
They've really given it a go in this second half. The Gokales, as the substitute Manish Dungi thought he was fouled. It's not the way the referee saw it though. Here's Bajic. He's got through a power of work in this match. Metcalf to Tongic. Mobile, very little pressure on Australia's number 11. McLaren helps it on in the direction of Rukavica. McLaren's follow-up was not on target, and he's cleaned up one of the defensive players for Nepal.
What's going on here? It's an armband. Just looking at the challenge. So that's not an issue. Jamie McLaren, he's just, because of his jump power, he's gotten above his direct defender, and naturally your arms are going to be above because of that. I'll tell you what, the way that's refereed these days in the A-League, you might have a case to answer for. If that arm actually makes contact with the head, which it seems to do there, Jamie McLaren maybe has something to answer for in the A-League, in particular, what I watch, and the rules they go by there.
You mentioned Ruan Tonic. He's had a really good partnership with Kai Rolls for Central Coast Mariners this season. And let's hope Kai gets to the Olympics as well, because I think he's deserved a real look in.
Yeah, I'm so happy that he's found consistency, Ruan, because I've always thought, even when I first saw him play, I think it was at Adelaide, from memory, and I saw him in the youth team there. I was with the Melbourne City youth team.
Cross a little bit too much carry.
And the quality was undeniable even at that young age. His physical presence is phenomenal. He's a great athlete, engines, speed. He's got everything. But for some reason, at all the clubs previous to now, he hasn't been able to make it work. I just go, why? It's one of those questions, you know. Is it an attitude thing? What is it?
I encourage you to have a look at that. If you haven't, watching at home, that piece that Tim Cahill did with the 3 new cap getters.
Right.
And his comments about Ruan Tonic were very personal and insightful.
Yeah, right.
He's got a great personality, as you would know, Bootser. Here's Mobile.
Timmy, you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about Ruan.
Oh, Ruan, yep.
He was paying great credit to Tonic. Mobile, nice touch inside. And then delivers the cross, but can't get past the first defender. Australia looking for a goal to round out this match. Irvine. Nepal defending with great determination. Good interception. Metcalf! Oh, that's a terrific strike. And again, Kieran covers himself in glory.
And again, putting it into a wide area, the save. So there's no second phase play. That's, as goalkeepers, make a save. You're not going to catch it, put it out for a corner or put it wide. So many keepers these days just put it straight back into the centre of the park, and a second phase play ensues.
And Al Multari emptying his bench. 3 further changes. Suraj Dakuri, Ayush Galan will come on. It's been physically a draining match for the Nepalis, who've had to play the second half with 10 men and a couple of minutes of the opening half as well. Ayush Galan comes on. His first call up in this squad.
Just quickly before we're into injury time now, Bash, first minute injury time, but what's the end game with the Qatari coach and sending them out to region? What's the end game? Just to develop coaches to then use back in the Qatari system, or?
I think so, but I also think because they have no FIFA accredited coaches in Nepal, that was a reason why they've had other assistants who've been FIFA accredited in the past, when he replaced Bal Gopal, who won an unofficial tournament, a 3-nation tournament against Bangladesh before these qualifiers. Bal Gopal Maharajan took that squad, former national team captain, and but he's not FIFA accredited. None of the coaches are, and that's exactly what Gary Phillipson is trying to arrest in Nepal.
Yeah, right.
Try to get a better coach education structure going.
Interesting, huh?
Very, very difficult indeed.
It must be said, I'm surprised Gary went to Nepal, because there ain't no waves in Nepal. He's a keen surfer. He's a very good surfer, so I'm surprised he actually went there.
Well, he might be looking for the away trips to the Maldives, perhaps.
Not too far away.
Tonic. Mobile tries to slip it through for McLaren. Ruan Tonic on the follow-up. Karadzic on the overlap. Scored in the first half, Ruan Karadzic. Mobile in behind. McLaren looking for goal number 6 in qualifying. We're deep into injury time. And Nepal trying to hold on to this 3-0 scoreline. Atrocious conditions with a sapping heat in Kuwait City. Just need to keep it for the remaining seconds of the match. perhaps the last chance here for Australia. Irvine sold a little short with that pass. Appeals for handball, waved away by the referee. We're beyond the 93. Anjan Bistar fouled, and he's asking him to get up, but he's won the free kick. It's the whistle that determines the outcome.
I've heard that line many a time in the Melbourne Heart training pitch. Oh, jeez.
Trying to take the maximum possible time of the free kick. Nepal just cushioned back.
Lawrence Thomas gets a touch.
There you go.
Imagine he didn't get his touch, a touch in his debut. Imagine that.
He got a header in the first couple of seconds he was on, and there
right,
it is.
That's right.
A 3-0 win to Australia over Nepal, who would be very proud of their defensive efforts. They went down a man in the first half after the sending off of Rohit Chand, but Matthew Leckie and Fran Karacic gave Australia a good, solid start to the match. Martin Boyle added to that tally in the second half, but overall, I think Nepal will be pretty comfortable with that 3-0 scoreline. The same scoreline they lost to Jordan in the previous match, but for Australia, they march on with a perfect record in the second phase of Asian World Cup qualifying. There's the final scenario, Australia 3-0 and 16 shots to 0 on target. The numbers read pretty well for the Socceroos.
Certainly do. And we must start by saying congratulations to the Socceroos. 7 straight victories now. It's the first time since 1997 that we've had 7 straight wins in a row. As we're watching the replay here, the first goal, Leckie just rising superbly. Great ball in by Aziz. Next stop, back of the net. It's as easy as that, and that's the start you want, whichever game you're playing in. So set them up perfectly, the Socceroos. And while it can be draining to watch at times matches like this, just imagine what these players are going through in these sort of conditions. Look at that little touch from Leckie. Cut back to Karacic. First international goal, well taken, superbly taken, swept home. Can't save that. Leckie involved in the first and second goal, so he's played his part. The captain once again as he leads this Socceroo team into the next phase beyond this particular phase. And this is the third goal. The two Hibs Hibernian players combining, and Jackson Irvine getting a moment there in the attacking third. Rarely seen in the attacking third in this particular game, playing as a holding midfielder. Great little ball in behind the defence. A little bit of confusion from Nepal, and Martin Ball just ghosting in at that back post and getting a goal after the prolific misses he's had in this campaign so far. So confidence reinstated for Martin Boyle, and happy days for the Socceroos. Nepal, like you said, Bash, in the wrap, should be really happy with the way they've performed tonight, considering they went down to 10 men at the end of the first half. They played with great enthusiasm, put a lot of pressure on the Socceroos, high up the park in areas we possibly didn't expect. So they can be really, really content with the game against the Socceroos. Hopefully, they find themselves in a position to qualify for the Asian Cup, being one of the 4th best placed teams. We wish them all the best. But the Socceroos, as we look ahead to Jordan, with that late substitution with Lawrence Thomas coming on late, that says to me that Matt Ryan's going to come back in and he's going to put his strongest team on the park, Arnie, in this last match and look to really ram it home in this final match. But the Green and Gold should be really happy, shouldn't they be, Bash?
Yep, absolutely. They've maintained their perfect record in this phase of World Cup qualifying. They've got Jordan to come. They're already through as the top of this group, so they'll proceed to the 3rd round of Asian World Cup qualifying. I hope you've enjoyed all the action from Kuwait City. It's Australia 3, Nepal 0. And on behalf of myself, David Bashir, and Clint Bolton, it's goodbye for now.
Britain had always been a target for foreign invasion, but by 1940, everything had changed.